Welcome to Stunt Lab.
Get them all to work.
So it's all the same system, but it's just that a Goldtail is a brand name. It's like a Jumar's a brand name, and the Pestle one's an Ascender.
Right.
Okay, so basically this was before the Goldtail. This is what everybody used. This is what the cavers used. This is actually a better system. It's a more complicated system because it's harder to set up. The first stuntman ever to use a Goldtail, which is a brand name, which is an Australian repelling device, was Guy Norris. You heard of Guy Norris?
Yeah.
Stunt coordinator, second unit director on the new Mad Max, and also with the guy that on the original Mad Max that did that stunt. Okay? So Guy Norris was the very first stuntman to bring Goldtail into the business, and then it started to creep over the United States because there was more Americans. There were a lot of Americans from Australia. Like on the Mission Impossible stuff. So go ahead and drop.
We train them all well enough now. They don't need to start.
Yeah. So, well, actually, the guys over there have always been good. So go ahead and drop our line, Paul. So basically, we have a line.
3, 2, 1, drop.
Okay. So what we got is
Slack.
the slack came out, but there was so much friction.
Yeah.
You see how it didn't pull the line through? And Guy, phenomenal rigger, done a bunch of huge decelerator flows off this thing using the bungee progressive system that I told you about. Most of the Americans don't use these on the bungee system that's progressive. They use the old-fashioned just friction, straight rig, nothing fancy. A few people will put two of them together where they'll have the first one come in and then the second one be the final stage. So they'll do a multi-stage. Where if you use a bungee system, you can actually make it progressive to where it goes really soft, harder, and to where it becomes just a linearly progression. Because the bungee's doing like a belay. If that makes, you know, when you're doing a rappel system, you can bring it around you, and you can control your speed. With the bungee, you can actually get a progressive thing and make it just perfect. Just.
If you use that in front of that one, you would have to tie these two together. The other rack.
Yeah, they put it. You tie your hard tie together, and so you basically have your first batch of rope going through the first one. With maybe you'd have your slack, maybe one bar, and then come into a couple of bars.
But this would have to be attached to something on
back here. Yeah, you
just anchor it to another system.
And so you basically
you don't have to anchor it to the same.
Yeah, you have two pieces of slack instead of one piece of slack.
So this one would have a slack, and then another one.
And then this would be so you have so much friction. You have no friction,
Right.
a little bit of friction, and a lot of friction. Action. It's still not rocket science. What you're doing, it's a very fundamental, non-adjustable, old school, nothing fancy. If you're using this kind of technology, you're basically in first or second grade when it comes to rigging.